to CAL Chat. This is where we talk about our favorite Al-Anon and Alateen literature and how it's improved our lives. And this is part 4 of episode 3. You made it to part 4. Congratulations. This is the last part of the episode where Cindy mentions her favorite outreach piece of literature. Hope you like it. And now, Cindy, the next section we want to talk about is where we focus on outreach pieces of literature. Mm-hmm. What was your favorite piece that you chose?
Well, I chose Courage to Change, which is one of our daily readers. And I did for a number of reasons. I have found it to be, on the whole, I found it to be just a never failing good book for public outreach and for newcomers to the program. Would you like me to tell you how I've used it some ways that are kind of public outreach oriented?
Yeah, but just to clarify for the audience, we're talking about item number B16, B as in book, and I believe the large print version I have over here on my bookshelf is B17.
Yes.
So this large print version is available for that book. Okay,
right.
Go ahead.
So I've done a number of different kinds of outreach here. I go and speak at the university in our town. I've also participated in a couple of meetings on wheels where we have a group of us who take an actual Al-Anon meeting into a classroom of nurses or social workers or doctors, and we have a 30-minute Al-Anon meeting so they see what an Al-Anon meeting is, and then we have 30 minutes that's question and answer. And when we do that, we often use the daily reader because it's very accessible, and we use the Courage to Change because everything in the Courage to Change is conference-approved literature, all the quotes and everything, so they're very dependable about what it is we're going to pull up if we pull up a random page. And I also often chair a meeting on Thanksgiving or Christmas because those are days that most people would like to be with their families, but there's also a need for Al-Anon meetings. And in our family, we have a lot of recovery, so they don't mind for Mom to be gone at noon to go do a meeting. And at those meetings, we'll get people that have never been to an Al-Anon meeting before because they're in the middle of a giant crisis. So what we do, what I've done a couple of times is we have the books on the table, and I'll ask everyone to grab the Courage to Change and open it up to their birthday and then to read that out loud. They don't have to read their birthday date if they don't want to, but just to read the reading of their birthday and then share on your own life through that lens of that reading. And then in that type of meeting, each person just reads and then shares a little bit, and then the next person will read and share a little bit. And especially on meetings that can be pretty emotional, like around a holiday, it's very nice to have a calmer kind of approach where you're just reflective. At least I've found. I mean, that's been an interesting way to get that kind of reflective meeting. I've also used the book where you pick a date that you're afraid of if something bad happened on a particular day. I've had sponsees who've had, of course, this disease. You've had people die in your family from this disease or from other terrible things. And so they'll take that day that it has been a terrible day on the calendar that they don't look forward to, yet it resonates every year. And so then come to find that reading and read the recovery and allow the positive things that can come through that reading to inform that day as well. It will never blot out your experience that you've had in your personal life, but it does add more to the day. And people have found that to be helpful. We've done it for Thanksgiving and Christmas, too, to read those readings over and over again.
Yeah, sometimes those can be traumatic days.
And those of us who've been in Al-Anon or been in recovery for a while can forget, I think, because we end up having a couple of years of really good holidays. You know, they actually, life can turn around. But for most of us, I think, if we thought about it, we've had the experience of a holiday that was far from the sentimental sort of fairy tale ones that I hoped for, certainly when I was a kid. And in our traditions, it talks a little bit about what we do as Al-Anon members with our alcoholic relatives. You know, that's as newcomers, what do you do about the alcoholic? And Tradition 5 tells us we encourage and understand. I think that might be hard for a newcomer to understand, encourage. I'm trying just not to kill them.
Right.
And
I don't want to like that with them.
Right. So I've had this experience too, which has been really great, which is pick the date of that alcoholic relative's birthday and read the reading and share how this particular reading might help give that person the gift of dignity or encouragement or understanding. And anytime we can use, I feel like we can use something in our program to get our attention off of somebody else and back into us and our recovery and what we can do. I think it's really helpful, and Courage to Change has been a powerful tool for that, and helping explain it to somebody new to the program, because the daily readings are short, they're understandable, they're written by people just like you and me who are members. They're not written by experts. And I think even a newcomer gets that sense that somebody who understands them is writing this for them. So I find it to be a really wonderful tool.
But in a way we are experts just by the very nature of having gone through whatever experience we've gone through, because that's what we're sharing in these books is our experience, strength, and hope. And, I read somewhere in one of the books that even if you're a newcomer, you're considered an expert because
right.
all the stuff you've gone through, you can now speak about it, and you are going to be right because it's what you experienced.
Right.
So in a way, we're all experts. And I know what you mean about, it's not written by technical professionals in the field of alcoholism and stuff like that. But, it's for us, by us, and about us.
Right. And I think people really feel that, even if they've never been here. I mean, I know I feel it when I read our literature. I feel that voice of a fellow Al-Anon member. But I think even if you're new and you can open up to it, I think it's possible to sense something really different is happening when you're reading this. Yes. You do feel that sense that you can be seen as the expert in your own life. You're no longer in that place of helplessness and hopelessness.
I know you're an Alateen, current active Alateen sponsor. Do you ever, and this is just out of my curiosity, do you ever use Courage to Change or any of the quote-unquote adult literature in the Alateen meetings, or is it just strictly the Alateen literature used in the meetings?
It's interesting. I have used Courage to Change because I think there's so much of it is applicable no matter your age. But more I've done the other way. I have used Alateen literature in the Alateen Daily Reader and an Al-Anon group because I've belonged to for many years went to an adult child meeting. And so it's all adults in the meeting, but most of our experience with active alcoholism happened when we were teens. And we just happened to have some Alateen literature and pulled that out, and we all started doing this very thing where you pick out your birthday and we pass the book around, but it was the Alateen book. It was a very emotional and deep, powerful meeting because everybody was feeling their teenage voice being heard in a different way. And it was so immediate, that understanding. And it was because it had been written by teenagers when they were teenagers. And most of us didn't find the recovery, the ability to talk about it until much later in our lives. So to hear our experiences being voiced by a teen and read that was very powerful. And I found it to be a really beautiful thing. We also did the fourth step, the Alateen fourth step, because most of the people in that group were quite nervous about the Al-Anon fourth step, so we pulled out the Alateen fourth step and had a lot of fun with that.
Oh, isn't that a great book? I mean,
it's a great book.
Like one question per page, basically. And
right.
Did you get to the section about drawing your character?
Yes, you can draw it if you don't want to write about it. Exactly. We all
you guys did that? You went through it?
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, we had a great time with it. It was
I have
really
to do that
fun.
For a topic meeting one day, just to get some of that. I don't know which is the left brain or the right brain. To
right.
Put kind of one to sleep and say, okay, think about your character defects in a different way, and here's markers and crayons and pens and
right.
do this in a regular Al-Anon, not Alateen meeting, or maybe both.
Right.
But
right.
But yeah, say go to town, draw whatever you think your character defects or even the character assets look like.
Right. Right.
I think that 4-step inventory book is a great kind of starter.
I think so too. It's really beautiful how it can work together and help us allay our fears. And again, it's like, going back to the service manual, it's not so much that there's a rule about how to do it as much as there is guidance and help and support and comfort. And it's been a lot of fun playing around with different literature.
Yeah, definitely a good way to get in touch with my inner child.
Yeah.
Started reading Alateen literature. But anyway, so I figure, Courage to Change is, like you mentioned, it could be used in an Alateen group. Oh, it just seems that Alateen members are wise beyond their years. For all of the stuff they've gone through in such a short teen life that I've actually thought, maybe Courage to Change, maybe they would be ready for that.
I think that's another reason why I like the way Courage to Change is written, because it's simple and straightforward without being preachy, and it offers a teen the dignity of having the same experience. It's quite a miraculous book, I think.
It bridges the gap between the two programs, because I think some people tend to think Alateen is a separate part of the program, not enjoined with it. And I think the literature can flow both ways.
Right.
The literature can flow to Alateen. The Alateen literature can flow into Al-Anon. Everything is available to be read by anybody, young or old.
Exactly. And Alateen is a part of Al-Anon. And again, you can go back in the service manual and you read the history of Alateen. What page is that on? It's up at the beginning, where you find these young people who said, hey, I have some special needs about page 29, and some special things that just apply to me. And to be able to have the courage to voice that within the context of AA and Al-Anon recovery, it was powerful, making space for the voice of the young. Sometimes there's not Alateen in a particular town, and so they are invited to and are wholly welcome in an Al-Anon meeting. Al-Anon is for all family members who are affected by somebody else's drinking.
I always thought there was an age limit. I thought Alateen was for specifically kids just in their teens.
Alateen does have limits, but Al-Anon does not. So if there is no Alateen, then even someone as young as 10 or 12, whatever their age, they're welcome in an Al-Anon meeting. And that can sometimes make adults feel uncomfortable. I found that Courage to Change is such a great book because most adults in Al-Anon are very familiar with Courage to Change. And they can even talk about one of these readings with somebody young, and it helps them see that young person is just like them and affected by this disease and is welcome in the Al-Anon meeting. So it's a very helpful book that way. And you're right, it does bridge the programs.
Yeah, and we'll wrap up the show here. I just want to pass on two more things about Courage to Change. And you were talking about a different way to read the book, going to the date of your birthday or the date of your alcoholic's birthday, or focusing on a certain date that might have been a bad moment in your life. And I just wanted to throw out there the particular date in any of the daily readers that I think might be the page people read least often. And it's a date that only happens once every 4 years. It's February 29th.
Oh, yeah.
I think that page doesn't get as much love as it should. It probably gets skipped over and over.
That's a great idea. That would be a wonderful one to pick.
So I just wanted to point out that reading, too, is a fantastic day, and don't neglect that day.
That's great.
When February 29th. And I believe that page, it's funny, I'm trying to get used to using page numbers, but on the e-books, and this is available as an e-book as well,
right,
there's no page numbers. So I'm going to try to give both the page number and the date. So it's page 60 for those using a hard copy book for February 29th. And this is also available recently, kind of brand new, as a audio book. And that item number is EA-16. And the electronic book that you can get through your favorite electronic media provider, whoever you like to use, is item number EB, like electronic book, -16. So for for those two books, the audio book and the electronic book, there won't be page numbers. But February 29th is page 60 in the hardcover book. So I hope you'll check that one out too. Well, thank you so much, Cindy, for being a part of the show. This has just been way better than I thought it would be. And yes, I did have expectations. So
it was a lot of fun.
You've exceeded those expectations.
Oh, it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. I love the opportunity to talk about Al-Anon and literature, and just it was just a great lot of fun. I hope that lots of people will do this.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and hope you and the audience enjoyed listening, and happy reading.